Hello, hey everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm just looking at the chats and I see the buzz here right now, and it's amazing to see how excited you all are and how active you all are, especially with the guild. It's always lovely to see. So I am Aditya Obrai. I am a coach at Major League Hacking. I'm currently also a full-time student here pursuing my engineering here in India, and I'm very, very happy to be here with all of you. I think this is probably one of the more chill, fun, relaxed technical sessions. So I am so excited to be here with all of you. Now, before we jump into the session and most of its content, I'm gonna ask you all to at least get yourselves registered and checked in for this event. So we're gonna go through the process here. I'm also gonna put up the links with all of you. And yeah, as far as guild promos goes, while I love that, I guess for the next 5 minutes it's all right. But post that, I will request you all to stop the promos for now, at least. But like apart from that, like for now, just go on. You can share, and even I am involved in the guilds this time. I'm leading the Hack On Guild, so I do hope to see some of you there as well. And I do see there are a few folks here, so awesome. But yeah, anyway, all our guilds are absolutely lovely. So yes, it's absolutely amazing to see what all you're doing. Now, just gonna get to the registration and check-in process once. So I'll just bring on my screen here for a second. Let's put StreamYard on the right. And yeah, I believe my screen should be up now. So the first thing you gotta do is, of course, register and check in for day 3. So for that, we've got a link here that I've sent in the chat. I'm sure you can see it now. And of course, as all the other days, you just got to go here. You'll find a button, register and check in here, or just check in if you're registered already. Click on that and you should see a little you are checked in message here along with the event link. Now, as that is done, just scroll down and you're going to reach the schedule here. So from the schedule, you can click on the Rickroll session, and again, exactly same. Just follow it, and then from there on, of course, it'll bring you back to Twitch. So I'm gonna share both the links here in the chat, and I'm gonna ask you all to get to do that ASAP if you haven't already. So just get this out of the way, and then we can get in with the fun part of the session, of course. Now, for some of you, I guess one person asked a great question here. What is Rickroll? So if you look at this website here, we've got a nice little link in the description that tells us what Rickrolling is, but I'm just going to open it up for you here as well. Rickrolling is essentially a prank and an internet meme involving the unexpected appearance of Rick Astley's song "Never Gonna Give You Up." It's probably a nice song that you might have heard as well. So I'm just gonna bring up the song as well. And it's a nice, really cool, fun song. So if you just search Rickroll, you're gonna find it's the first one. So probably some of you recognize this song here. I'm just gonna send in the link for this as well. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. No commitments, all right, I think that's gonna give a fair idea, and yeah, probably. Trust me, that this is just one instant. The next up, you're gonna be doing this. So, of course, this session is of course all about Rickrolling. That is what we're gonna be doing today. So let me do one thing. Oops, little snafu. Sorry about that. That wasn't supposed to happen. Not the Rickroll. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think that was the unexpected Rickroll. That wasn't supposed to happen. You never know. You might just. All right, yeah. Anyway, that's not the only thing the session is about. So today we're going to be building a little project that will let us Rickroll someone, who we want to, just our friends and all, and that's really all we're doing today. Like that's it. So in this session, of course, we're going to be bringing back some of my favorite old technologies that you all probably have heard of if you've had an interaction with me, and I think some of you can probably guess it, some might, but anyway, one of them is .NET. Second, yeah, Twilio's coming back. Twilio's gonna be coming back. Yep, Twilio is back. Xamarin, yeah, good guess. That's also gonna be up there. Sisha, wow, you all really know me by now. Great. There's one more thing that's gonna be here that again is something I absolutely love, and that is Azure Functions. So today is definitely gonna be fun. And I do hope you all enjoy here. I see there's Xamarin, there's .NET, of course .NET. If I'm working with Azure Functions, I do prefer working with .NET. So yeah, it's we're gonna be working with that. Azure's back. So Rico here has a great question, and that is, what is Twilio? Absolutely lovely question. Thank you so much for that. So Twilio is a cloud communications platform as a service, which allows you to communicate, and it basically brings telephony and, of course, your internet together. So you can use Twilio to message, call, video chat, plus a few other services using their APIs and SDKs. And that's the basic definition of Twilio. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to do one thing now. I'm going to first take you all through the process of registering on Twilio. All right. I think that should be a good way to start the day. We do have some credits available on Twilio for free. I'm going to be sharing more on that as well. So once again, I will bring back my screen. It'll just take a second. Yeah. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So in order to get yourself registered on Twilio, I'm going to be sending you a link here. With this link, you will be able to get a few credit, about $10 worth of credits free as you upgrade. Um, Apart from that, as you make a trial account, you get some there as well. So, if you're registering on Twilio, you can use the link I've just shared in the chat. And of course, I'll just put this up as a banner as well. Now I'll just show you what Twilio essentially is. Let's not go to the console first. Let's open up the website. Yeah. So Twilio, as I mentioned, of course, is a communications platform as a service. It allows you to engage with folks, customers, anyone, and it helps ensure that that you can create great and meaningful experiences in your marketing, in your sales. That's probably more of the business use case. As a developer, you can utilize Twilio to call, to send in, to automate calling, to automate messaging, emails. SendGrid, of course, is also a part of Twilio. So if any of you have been if have you looked into mass mailing, you might have heard of SendGrid. And it's a great solution, highly developer friendly, and it's used by some of the biggest organizations and brands in the world. That's an amazing deal, because if you look at it, Zendesk, Marks and Spencer's, American Red Cross, these are massive organizations. So we're gonna get you registered here, of course, on Twilio as well. And if you just go on the link that I've shared, what it's going to do is it's going to take you to this page that will help you create your account and start your free trial. Now the trial, of course, does not require any credit card, so you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to send this link once again here in the chat, so you can get it as well. And yeah, that's a bit about Twilio. Now I'm gonna take you to the console. So after you register, after you're in there, when you get your access and you're gonna get you're gonna join this console here that it'll show you the balance in your account, and it'll show you, of course, all of these resources. It'll show you your account SID and token. Do not share these with anyone. These are your credentials. So please, please, please be mindful of that. All right. Let me just take this off. And if you look at this, you're probably, you can see the products here, and it has a nice range of products. I've just pinned a few of them, ones that I tend to use a little more regularly in my hacks. But like, first things first, we're gonna have to first get yourself a phone number. So for that, you can just click on phone numbers. All right. And from there, you can go ahead and buy a number. I have one already, but you can purchase a number for yourself as well. And I will recommend that if you are purchasing one now, make sure that you have the voice capability. Typically, what I'll say is, if you can have if you can have all of them, that's always your best case scenario. But sure, at least make sure that for this one you have voice. Now I have my number, I have my details, so that of course is there. And we're gonna hold on to these because we're gonna need these later. Now, when we want to call Twilio and when we want to use it, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using Twilio programmable voice to rickroll someone via phone call. So the next thing that we're going to, I'm not yet streaming all my credentials, and I'll just change them. The number is public. If you get a call, you get a call. That's not a worry. So yeah, you're not going to get to see the auth token here in any case. Don't worry about that. But the next thing that we're gonna have to set up once for this particular session is Azure as well, because we're gonna be using an Azure function to, that's where we're gonna have Twilio. So the next thing, if you don't have, is to get access to Azure. For that, we have the lovely Azure Student Developer Pack already available, which allows you to get $100 worth of credits. So for that, you can just go on to aka.ms/A4S. A4S stands for Azure for Students. And, just click here, and you can go ahead and register and get yourselves $100 worth of credit for free, which is great. Absolutely awesome. So, make sure you do both of these things. Now I have my account, so I'm just going to log in once, and I'm going to show you what Azure looks like. And yeah, I think it's just going to log in for me. Okay, portal. So, once you log into Azure, you see a nice little dashboard. And like within this dashboard, of course, as I log in, you're going to get to see a variety of services, different functionalities. Azure is definitely one of the most powerful cloud platforms in the world. And if you see, you can see amazing resources like Cosmos DB is there. You've got VMs, you've got Azure functions and whatnot. There's so much. There's something for everyone. If you just check create a resource, you're going to find all of these different services. We're going to be using Azure functions for this session, but we're not going to be using it directly from the console here. Although if you go ahead and you want to create a function, you can. We're not going to be doing that. I'm just doing this to demonstrate what it looks like once, what sort of details you can select, create a resource group, just create your function name, and do all of these details, all of this work. We're going to be doing this directly from VS Code, however. So, I'm just going to close this for now, and I'm going to take this off. Open a little folder that I created called Rickroll, because this is where I'm going to keep all my session details. And I'm just going to open with code. I'm going to open this directory, which is nice, which is cool. Yeah. So in this, of course, you can probably see it's an empty directory. Now, one lovely thing about Visual Studio Code is the amazing store extensions marketplace that it has. And one of these extensions here is, okay, I'm not sure. I don't think this gets zoomed in, but yeah, one of these amazing functions is the Azure Functions extension, and that's absolutely lovely. So what we're gonna do is is in this particular one. All right, I'm getting a few queries about AWS and all. And I'll just take this one first. Yes, you can use Visual Studio for Azure Functions as well. Make sure that you install the Azure the Azure development tools and feature thing, and as that is done, of course. Apart from that, if you want to build in any platform of your preference, please feel free to do so. It is just that I am comfortable with this, and the reason I've gone for Azure Functions for Visual Studio Code for the Azure function specifically is because I believe VS Code is something that a lot more people have access to. But even if you don't, it's totally all right. You can work in any platform of your preference. I am not sure if REPL would work. I don't use REPL personally, but if with REPL you're able to install packages, then of course, then you should be able to, because with Twilio um, we'll need to get their SDK. Will we get Azure credits to run the project? I have sent in a link, the Azure for Students offer. That is an offer available to all students globally from Microsoft. So you can use that and of course get it in. And that it's an amazing offer, because $100 for any projects you want, you get for the next 1 year. So that's definitely what you can do. I'll put up that link once again. That is, of course, aka.ms/a4s. All right. And I see Praveen there. Hi, Praveen. Great. So Azure Functions extension is the one you have to install, because we're going to be using Azure Functions to keep our code for Rickrolling on there. The Xamarin aspect that I mentioned earlier is something we're going to have later on. Okay. So I'm going to send this link once in the chat, I guess, and then we'll move on to building the Azure function for this specific case. So once again, let me send this into the chat, aka.ms/a4s. Yep. Great. So let me get back to my directory. As soon as you install the Azure Functions extension, you're gonna see that on the left bar there will be an Azure tab here that you can use. And within that, of course, I have the app service one, but that's a separate story altogether. You will find a little functions text with a few of these buttons here. So the next thing you got to do is click on create a new project. Now, when you click on this, you'll get an option to select which directory you want to keep your function project in. I'm just going to select it as Rickroll. And with Azure Functions, you get the option to work with a variety of these platforms. You can use C#, JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Java, PowerShell, and there are custom handlers as well. I'm going to be using C# because I'm sure by now, as guessed earlier in the chat, you all know my love for .NET. So C# is my comfortable space. I am going to be going out with C#. You all, however, can work with any language that you prefer. So that's totally cool. You can feel free, go ahead and choose any of these that you want. I will be sending Twilio documentation for these, so you don't need to worry. That's going to be there with you. Okay. So C# is my preference. And if you're going with .NET, I will recommend going with .NET Core 3. .NET 5 is great, it's cool, but .NET Core 3 has been stable, a lot more stable for Azure Functions. So I just prefer working with that. And out of these, once you do that, you're going to get to select a template for your function. So in this case, we want the HTTP trigger because we want to be able to trigger it, essentially call it via an HTTP request. Let's change the name to Rickroll init, or let's just keep it as Rickroll for now. The namespace you can keep by default as company.function. That's totally all right, not an issue. And out of these, now this is something that allows you to set access rights. For now, since this is something only I am using, I'm going to keep it as anonymous. So while this sets up, I'll just look at the chat once to see if we have any queries. Azure, okay, Azure is free. We talked about that. Oh, this loaded. That was quick. And yep, I'm gonna restore. So I guess among the queries, so I'm not gonna be going into Replit right now. I'm gonna be working with VS Code because for the Azure functions, I will need something like this. You can feel free to try it out in Replit, although I haven't tried and seen if C Sharp is allowed there. So that's something that I'm not totally sure of. That's you can definitely explore, and if it's not, if you know, if there's JS or something like that and you want to work with JavaScript, Willio has SDKs for JavaScript, so you know it's just an npm install away. All right, okay, so for anyone who's kind of missed it out as well, you can look at the stream recording. Let me send over the YouTube link to you once, so you know you can always rewind and find the link there. I'll just send that over here. In any case, with an Azure function specifically, even if you know you've not pushed it to Azure, you can still run it locally on your device. That's something you can do. So at least for the purposes of the session, you should be comfortable to go. Later on, when we come to the deployment, that's a different matter altogether. But for at least writing the code and testing it, you can do that during the session. And even if you're not working with Azure functions, if you're working with a traditional backend, that is always something you can do, not an issue. And you know you can deploy it to another service like Vercel, for example, which is free by default. So that totally depends on you. You have the freedom to work however way you're comfortable. It's just that with in this case, the I want to use Azure functions here, so I am, but that's by no way a mandate. All right, so among this, you know, as you've seen this entire Azure function load up, let me take you a little through the function and how it works. So if you see the function, you're gonna see we have a little attribute here that mentions function name, and this of course is going to be the name of our function, which I'll show you how it ends up as relevant. Beyond that, of course, we've got this little asynchronous function called run. It returns an IAction result here in a task, and what that essentially allows you to do is that, you know, if you've got a JSON that you're returning, it'll automatically send it back in that format. And similarly, you know, we've got a few more details here. We've got details about the HTTP trigger. So it's because of this that, you know, you're able to call this function using HTTP requests. We don't need to set a route here. And you know, if you want, we can just leave the get and post here. That's not an issue. Now with this function, what it's gonna do is, if you know, if you've got um, a name query in your request URL, you will be able to extract it using req.query. That's what this allows you, because this is what sets our request here, as you can see. And if you're using a post request, you can go ahead and you can use the await new stream reader. After that, basically what this allows you to do is it essentially gets your request body as in the format of a string, and then, you know, you can use and you can then deserialize that into an object. Now this just lets you get name out of that object, because they have a dynamic object here. We can keep a model as we want. That's not an issue at all. And you know, after that, this is just another little name to see, you know, if your string is empty. If name is empty, then it just passes a little string as this HTTP trigger function and execute it successfully. And if not, it just sets, you know, we've got a response here in case it's null or empty. So I'm gonna run this function and show you how it works. For that, all you need to do is press F5, and this is gonna load up the function for me. So what I'm gonna, as soon as, you know, this builds, I'm just gonna open it up in my browser and show it to you via a GET request. And that's just gonna be a brief on how Azure functions work for you. Now, if this is the first time you're getting Azure functions, you might need another little thing installed on your system called Azure Functions Core Tools. What this allows you to do is debug Azure functions on your device. So I am just gonna send over the link to you for that. Just a minute. Yes, here we have Azure Functions Core Tools. And okay, Akshay, I saw your message earlier. If you do not have a .edu school email, what you can do is, if you're using Azure Functions for the session, you can debug them locally and run them locally. That is not an issue. Otherwise, you can go ahead and use any traditional backend platform. That is not an issue at all. So yeah, as I built this, it provides me a little link here, you know, and this link here, what it allows me to, this is my UI, this is my endpoint for this Azure function. So I can just trigger this function using a get or a post request. And we see both of these here because we allowed both of these. Now, had I removed one of these, you would have seen only one. So I'm just gonna take this, of course, I'm gonna take this to my browser here. And okay, I think I kind of ran it before, but let me just run it once again. Yeah, so as I trigger this with a get request, because my name was null, it shows a message here that says this HTTP triggered function executed successfully, and pass a name. Now at the same time, if I just add a name here in the query, like I'll just add Aditya, then it mentions my name here as well, which is really cool. So it's pretty great that way. Functions make at least getting started with API development very easy. So let's just close this for now, and I'm also gonna disconnect my function because we want to get building here, right? We want to use Twilio, we want to get building. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna remove this, and we're just gonna keep it for now. It's an empty string for now. That's totally all right. Now we do want to use Twilio here for our project in this case. So of course, let's install the Twilio pack, the NuGet package. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open my console, my terminal here. Yeah. And if you're using .NET, so the command to install Twilio there is just .NET add package Twilio. And that way just with this, it's going to install Twilio for you. I think that should be a little bit easier to see, but that's the command, .NET add package Twilio. And this is specifically for .NET. NPM, of course, has its own, I believe it's NPM install Twilio. But yeah, just doing this will install the Twilio SDK for me. So, if I go back to my project here and, I open up all of these details, somewhere in the middle, you're going to find that, this Twilio related stuff installed. So pretty convenient, pretty easy to, work with. Yeah, with NuGet cache. Yeah, that's where, it assigns your different project assets and all of that. So you can find all the details that this project is using here, and it's quite an extensive file. I don't recommend going through it right now. It's unnecessary. It's something that you see on your build. But yeah, Twilio also gets added here. This, of course, is the CS proj, which kind of works like your package file. And, here you can find your target framework and your packages that are included. So just a little, again, another brief on, this is where you can see that your NuGet package that is there, the Twilio SDK, it's here, and you can find the version and all. Now back to our function. So now that we have Twilio here, let me show you a little documentation that's going to help you get started with Twilio. So for that, we're going to go ahead, twilio.com/docs/guides. And I have to say, Twilio has one of the most wonderful guides that I have seen. Very easy to get started with, very comfortable to work with. and you've got tutorials for all different things. We're gonna just go ahead and click on voice here, because Twilio programmable voice is what we're using in this session. So if you can see, there's a variety of quick starts here on different technologies. I guess you can see there's a client side JS, iOS, Android. We've got Java, C Sharp, Node, Python, all of these different quick starts. So I'm gonna send over this link here in the chat to you all, and you can have a look at it. For C Sharp, of course, that's since that is the one I'm working with. Let me zoom out a bit. Yeah, so it shows you, how you can sign up for a number, install the package. We've done these two steps already. The next, of course, is to make a little call with C Sharp. Now, this is the important step for us, because what we're going to be doing right now is make an outgoing phone call with C Sharp. So, here you can see we can set our account SID and auth token as specified earlier. And then, we initialize the Twilio client. But it's generally not a good practice to keep your account SID and auth token directly in your code. You can use environment variables. That's always better. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. I'm also going to share where you can add environment variables. But for now, let's just get started with this. Okay. So I'm going to create a string account SID. And I'm just going to write it in the format that I would keep it in, when I have my environment variable. So if I just mention environment, get environment variable, and let's just keep these in account. I'll just keep these in caps. Not an issue. You can name it whatever you want. And similarly, for the auth token, again, we're going to use an environment variable. So keeping it consistent there. Auth token. Okay. Now, once we have these two, these are enough to initialize our Twilio client. So the next thing I'm going to do is, first of all, now you can see that we're getting a little red underline here, and that's because we haven't added the package. Good thing, VS Code actually gives us these hints as to what package we can use. So the moment I just clicked on that, it automatically added the reference for me, so I can just use Twilio. I can just add these functionalities that easily here. In order to initialize the client, we need to have the account SID and the auth token. Those are our username and password. And it's so cool, right? With VS Code, we can just see what format is required here. So I'm just gonna add auth token as the variable, and that's enough to actually initialize your Twilio client. Next thing, of course, what we need to make a phone call is a number that we're going to be calling from, and the number we are calling. So let's select, let's say, string, from number. And again, we can just use environment variables here. So I'm just going to take the liberty to copy this. Copy paste is good. Depending on the scenario, you should use it from time to time. I'm just going to keep this as from. Actually, you know what, from number, let's keep it whole, entire. The second, actually, sorry, slight error. With Twilio, what you can do is you can actually designate these as Twilio types. So I'm going to keep it as a phone number. So in that case, what we need to do is we need to keep this within a little tag called new phone number. Now you realize that string's not going to work there, but good thing, if you're not aware of the data type, you can actually just use var here in C# as well. So that's convenient. Now the other number we need is to number. That is the number we want to call, right? So for that, again, we're going to follow a similar process, new phone number, and we'll just keep to number as our variable name. I'm going to show you where you can add these as well. And that way, at least if you're working with Azure functions, it's going to be a little easier for you to do. So this is the absolute basic setup. Now, of course, the next step that we need is, to add the calling resources. That's of course the next important part, right? So for that, all you need to do is just go ahead here, and for this you just type. Let's create a variable here, and we'll call it var call. And for that, with the SDK, we have a little thing called as call resource. So within call resource, oops, seems like I'm getting a little issue. Let me just hop over to my documentation. Always good to check out the documentation. Actually, you know what? I was on the right path. Now I realize what has happened is that, as I typed in call resource, we haven't got the reference there. So we're just gonna add the reference once again. And this is the REST API reference. So as soon as that's there, you'll find all of these details. Call resource create. That's the method we have, and within this method, there are various details we can add, like the number we want to call, that is the to number. You know, there is the number we want to call from. That is of course our Twilio number. And then we have a third very important detail, which can be either URL, that is an XML URL that contains the format for our Twilio markup language. That's TWIML. You can use that, or you can directly write TWIML as well. We can go either way. So what I'm gonna do now is, you know, I guess I can directly add TWIML here. That's not an issue. And okay. For that, all you need to do is new TWIML, and then within this, we add a little string. Now, TWIML has a little format that we need to follow. At least for this case, we're gonna follow the format that we need to play a little MP3, because that's what we have. So I'm just gonna create it in this format. And you know what? If you're ever worried that you don't like your form, you might be incorrect in the format, all you need to do is just copy this. Let's go back to our console once. From here, I believe you can see, I mean, I have that pinned, but if you scroll below, you will see something called TWIML bins. So you can just access this once, and here you can actually create and write TWIML. So you can just directly paste here, and this tells you whether it's valid or not. So pretty convenient. So that's how you can check. In any case, if you're not you writing to YML, and you have something that is a little more complex. In this case, we have a very small little YML content. YML once again is the Twilio markup language that we use. But if we have something a little more complex, then if you want to create a template with different parameters, you can actually use a TWIML bin, and in that you just add your TWIML here, add a little friendly name such like Rickroll, for example, and if you create, it gives you a URL that you can then use later on. All right. Now in this instance, we don't necessarily need it. What we do need, however, is the song MP3. Now, one really fun thing that I would love to tell you is that Twilio actually did this prank. Some folks at Twilio did this prank a while back, and Twilio themselves provide this MP3 easily. So I'm gonna put up the link by which you can get the MP3 as well. And if we hop over and use this link here that we have, you'll find that this has the song as well. So if I play it, yep, that's the song. So I'm gonna send in the link here in the chat as well. The next thing that we need to do is just paste this in between play. So let me just go back to my dashboard because like we don't need that for now. And yeah, VS Code. So all you need to do is just paste this here. Yeah, in the middle. That's convenient, right? And if this goes, yeah, of course we need to close it off, right? So if this works, what's gonna happen is that we'll get a little call SID. If this goes through, if this works properly, we get a call SID. All right. So I'm gonna be sending this back here. I guess that's just a little check. That's something we can return. We can keep this. Let me just do one thing. I'm gonna add a little format here. What this will basically do is it'll return back a JSON. So if I run this, that's what essentially it allows me to do. Now we mentioned, we have various environment variables here that we're using, that we need. But where should we actually put these environment variables in? So for that, among Azure functions, we've got a little file called local.settings.json. When you're locally testing it, that's where you keep your environment variables. After deployment, you can directly keep it in Azure. So what happens is that you see these values and you can just add fields here on your own, like account SID. I'm just gonna add my fields and then I'm gonna take the screen off for a bit because I want to make sure that I secretly place my details there and don't just make it public for all. Um, but yeah, let me just in the meantime at least input like my environment variables names. We've got from number, and the last I guess was to number. For the purposes of this activity, I will highly recommend just keeping this your own number. Don't please randomly prank right now. It might just freak out someone. um, so yeah, now let me do one thing. I'm just gonna take off my screen for a bit, and do keep the doubts coming in at this time because I think now I can take some of these. And yeah, you got rickrolled again. Yeah, so I just need a second here. I'm gonna add my details once. And as soon as that is done, we're gonna take this little solution for a test run. So back to my Twilio console. And yeah, in the meantime, once again, please feel free to mention your doubts at this point of time. This is the best time to ask. And I hope you're all actively building with Twilio as well. Even if not with .NET, even if with another language, it's a great tool that you can use. So I really hope that you're using this to try and build something really cool. Just one more thing to go. And we should be good. So I have added my details into my environment variables and I'm gonna take this for a spin now. Seems like I'm constantly trolling myself today by just messing around with these little stream issues. Yeah, but let me bring up my screen once again. Please do let me know as soon as it is up and running. If as soon as you can see it, please just send in a message here in the chat once. So if it looks all right to you, just give me a thumbs up, please. Let me see. Yes, thank you so much for that. All right, so let's run this now. Hoping it works. Absolutely hoping it works. The two number we're just keeping for now. Later on, we're going to take it as an input. So I'm going to help you set it up as an input as well. We're just testing this first. Yeah. So running the function now. Yeah, it's just rebuilding it for me once. And it's going to give a call on my phone. So, you know, that's just what I'm keeping up for now. And it's, of course, utilizing all of these details for my, yeah, so hoping for the best. I'm just going to give it a get request for now. And we have a message SID, so seems like I'm getting a call now. And that's nice. I am, which is great. If you see my phone right now, it'll show work to Elio. And let me just, it gives you a call like that. I've just saved it as work Twilio because I keep using it for Twilio, so that's there. But yeah, the song works. It's playing, which is awesome. All right. I'm just gonna close this for now. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep this closed for now because we're gonna be doing some more fun stuff. Now, with a solution like this, I'm sure you don't just wanna prank one person, right? You probably wanna play around with a few. So let's do a fun thing here. I'm just gonna take this down. We're gonna remove this. And what we'll do is we'll take our phone number in the get query. So let me just add req dot query, and I think that's what it was. And I'm just gonna keep two number here. It seems like I'm getting some. Oh, that's why. It still needs to be a new phone number. Let me put that back again. Not to worry, not to worry. Yep. Let's try this once again. Building once again for me. After this step is done, I'm also going to deploy it once on Azure so that, I can try it later on. And then we'll move on to the second step, that is building a little Xamarin app that will call this. So I have it in the form of an app on my phone later on. So that's step two. Going back to this. Now in this instance, because we need to take in a phone number, I'm not directly gonna hop over and click and run it. What I'm gonna do is I am going to add a query to number, and then I will add my number once again. In this case, I'm just gonna keep it up here, and I think I kept my screen off for a second. All I did was basically replaced the environment variable here to take in a query instead and just run it once again. Sorry, I think I forgot when I took it off. I forgot to bring it back on. But no worries. All we need to do here is just, going back to my screen, I'm gonna add my phone number here. So it's gotta go off once again. And for this to work, you need to add the full number with your country code as well. So I've made the request, the get request, and let's hope this works. And what do we figure? Works again. Like, this is gonna be fun. There's a lot of rickrolling going on here right now. But yeah, seems to work. So um, our little Azure function for now is ready. I'll just bring up my screen, sharing screen once again. I guess the only little thing I'm gonna do here is because we're working on get requests. I'll just go ahead and I'll remove the post request for now because we don't need it right now. Okay, so that's up and running. Let's just put this down. Yep, that's our function there. Now we're gonna make a little Xamarin app to call this. So smart Anubhav, smart. You kind of got this there, but don't worry, we're gonna have some more fun in a very short while. So next step is to create a new project, and we're gonna create a Xamarin project here. Xamarin is a cross-platform app development framework, that is again built on .NET. Like I said, there's gonna be a chunk of this here. There's a lot of .NET here, but the reason I've made an Azure function and not directly, implement it value within Xamarin is because I want to make sure that the function is callable from anywhere. So that's exactly why I didn't directly add the SDK in here. So I'm just gonna go search mobile, and as soon as mobile is searched, it's gonna show a few of these options. The one we need is Xamarin Forms, mobile app Xamarin Forms, because with Xamarin Forms you can create for Android, iOS, and Windows, all of them together. This is Xamarin.Android. This is Xamarin.iOS. You can create it for for Wear OS as well, but I mean I don't know how practical typing is in there. But anyway, um, mobile app with Xamarin Forms is the way to go. For this, we'll just name it as Rickroll Xamarin. I will change the location of this to my desktop. That's purely for my convenience. You can keep it wherever you want. Totally on you. When creating, you will see various of these templates. Now, we can build for all three, so it's not an issue. We'll just check that. But I will recommend for this, just keep a blank app. That is the one we need. Okay. So a blank app is what we'll use. So we're going to just let it create it for us now. Sure, this takes a little time sometimes. In the meantime, if any of you have any queries, I'd love to take those. Yeah. In case this is the first time you're downloading Visual Studio, if you don't have it, I'll send over the download link to you if you're up for that. It is a little time taking, but at least with this session, you can always rewind and check it out. So that would be the way to go. So yeah, I'll send that link in here. Oh, damn. Sorry about that. Dhruv. The reason I was going ahead is because, after the function, we've got the app that we want to go through as well. So, in order to just have both of those running in, that's exactly why I was trying to maintain a certain pace. But we're gonna spend our time rediscuss any specific aspects of it. Plus, if any of you are building such solutions, I want to bring you on to stream as well. And we can actually explore something called different aspects. So like right now, since we tried it with by directly writing to YML, we'll try a bin instead next time. So we're gonna try a few variations here. It's gonna be nice. All right, so if this has come up for you, what that means is that the application is up and running. All of these Xamarin with all of these Xamarin projects, they've got various little details. I'll just okay, yeah. Just gonna pin this here. Now let me just close these so it makes it a little easier for you to see. What you see here on the right side are three different solutions for three different platforms. Well, I mean, they're not solutions, these are projects. specifically, and the entire thing is one solution. And here under Rickroll Xamarin, we're gonna have our common UI and logic, which we write with XAML and C Sharp. So, main page here is the first page that you would see in case you were running a Hello World application. And I will just open. I'm gonna run this in Android. That's because that's what I'm gonna have. All right. So I'll just go through the Hello World ones. It's a little process of its own. Okay. And the GitHub link, once the session is through, I will give you the GitHub link for this as well. I'll give a GitHub link. So right now what's happening is we've just run a build once. It's gonna compile and run it for us. This can take a little time when we're doing it for the very first time. But like subsequently, if we run it, it's gonna be a lot quicker. So in the meantime, I'll tell you what, I'll actually put up the function code on GitHub at least. And that way, you can check it there. How does that sound? Thank you so much, Arnav. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, back to the function. Um, yeah, this is just gonna take a minute. We're gonna create the app function. In the meantime, the emulator is setting up. So right now is perfect time for you to get your queries in. Like, this is the best time possible. Yep. That's the emulator. That's a Pixel 3 emulator. It's just gonna start that up. Just gonna enlarge it a bit. That'll make things easier to see. So in the meantime, like I said, I think some folks were having a little trouble keeping up. This is a smaller code generally, but in any case, if you have any queries on any of those aspects, please do let me know right now. And I'd be happy. I'd be more than happy to take that. I'm also setting up a GitHub repo so that when you wanna check this later on, you can always feel free to do that. And that's gonna be a public repository because we're also gonna need that when we submit to DevPost. It's just loading up the Hello World application. So once this is loaded, I'm gonna take you through the Hello World application as well. All right. Looks like I have my the repo is the repo is up and ready, and with that I'll just do one thing. I'm gonna push the Azure function there. I'm just doing that. I need a second there. So like as soon as that is done, it's gonna be a quick thing from there on. Push show origin. Value function. Okay, then. Yep. Let me send in the Twilio function to you folks. By then, we're also going to be creating the application. In the meantime, I saw there's a query here. How have I pre-coded stuff? Great point. That's actually not something I've coded pre-coded. That's a Hello World template for Xamarin. So whenever you create a blank app, it comes made with that. So that way, whenever you want to get started, it's going to be quick for you to do that. And I've sent in the Twilio function here. I'm just going to hide this for a second. Okay, the app is up. So if you look at the app right now, it shows, welcome to Xamarin Form, start developing now. You can make changes to XAML file, and it's got a learn more link. Now, similarly, when we look at our XAML here, let me show you some relevance. Among this frame here, you might be able to see the same message, welcome to Xamarin Forms. And it shows some details like horizontal text alignment, centering, whatever text color, font size. And then it has a few labels for these where it says start developing now. So if I actually change one of these, let's make this MLH init, for example, it's going to reflect here because we've okay, yeah, it reflects here because um, we've got hot reload here in Xamarin, which is great. If you're working with XAML, it's very useful to have, right? So that's our Hello World application. Now we want to make sure we have a little box here with which we can input, right? We can add the phone number to troll and have fun. So we're gonna start making a few changes to the UI right now. I'm just gonna change the title to Rickroll because why not? Once again, Rickroll, and I'm gonna remove these labels for now. So right now it just looks like that. Now, one great thing about working with Visual Studio and just working with these details here is that when I want to view when that I can actually view common UI features. So if I just go up to view, and I should have um, Solution Explorer should be here somewhere. Okay, that should have been there. 1 second. Yes, wait. Okay, I'm actually missing out on what. Yeah, toolbox. Sorry. So if I go to toolbox, I'll actually see common UI controls that I can put in there. So like just like we had label there. So first thing, of course, we can actually just bring back another label, and we just write enter phone number to troll. Sorry about that. We're gonna add a couple of other details here, like for example, I just want to keep the center aligned, for example. So I'm gonna add horizontal text alignment, and I'm just gonna keep that as center. And text color, I want to keep black maybe. So for text color, I can keep black. And probably one more thing that I want to have is, yeah, we let's just keep a certain font size. So we can just actually what, why keep a number when we can select all of these? We'll just keep it as medium for now. If you look at this, you see there's a little label there that is up for us. Okay. Next thing that we want is to have let's say we need a text box where we can, where we can enter the phone number, of course. So for that we have a few things here, and one of them is an entry. So we're gonna keep an entry. Now the placeholder I'm just gonna keep, as you know, I'm gonna keep 91 and then the number. No, I'm adding 3. 987654321. Is that 10 digits? One more digit. So that's just a placeholder. Great thing, I can add placeholders here whenever I want. And whenever I'm actually adding the text, right, I can just keep whatever text I feel like. So for now, we'll just keep it as empty, of course. That's when the placeholder is active. But the moment I add some text like 98432, it changes the format slightly. Another thing I see here is that we've got a lot of this. It's totally stuck to the sides, right? And we want to make sure there's some sort of a gapping. So we'll keep a little padding here. Let me see. Okay, that's a detail of the frame. So I'm gonna keep a frame around that, but we'll get to that later in that case. In the meantime, we also want to keep this text aligned in the center. So yeah, we'll keep it in the center. Not an issue. Let's keep this as empty for now. The text should remain empty because we don't need it right now. The third thing and of course, considering this is a variable, we're going to need this text later on. We're going to give it a little variable name. So for that, we'll just keep it as phone number. That's a convenient enough name, right? And lastly, we need a button to actually trigger the function as well, right? So for that, another thing we drag here is a button. For the button, we'll just keep it as Rickroll. You can actually change the title here then. You just keep it as Rickroll, but then the button can be Rickroll. Totally cool. Let's see what it looks like. So right now it extends through across the entire screen. Not something we want to keep. We can have it a little smaller. So for this, what we'll do is we'll set the horizontal option, the center and expand. What that's going to do is it's just going to center it and expand according to the size of the text. So convenient, and it looks all right. Again, like not the best UI in the world. We can have a little frame around it so that wherever we want to add padding or something like that. I'm just gonna add this little closing tag at the end of these details, and just because like I like to keep it indented, I'm just gonna indent it. But like for the background color right now, white is okay. Padding, yeah, we would like to keep some sort of padding for this as well. 24 is good enough. And this you can see, so now we have a little gap there as well. That if we want to keep, we can keep. Seems like we're getting a little interesting. I guess the frames are there, to keep per object. That's not something I'm 100% up for, but anyway, we'll just keep it relaxed. I guess that's what it expects. We can keep separate frames. That's not an issue. We'll just keep something similar in all of these. So I'll just copy and paste it, keeping my little task quicker here. And for the last button, we'll align it in a second. Yep, we're good to go. So as we look at this design now, you can see that it's got a little thing going on there. So that kind of looks okay for the UI for now. If we want to change it later on, we can. Not an issue. This is just a little template we have. All right. And I'm going to do one thing now. With this button, we want to be able to call the phone number, right? So we're going to give it another attribute called clicked. And this lets us set an event handler. So I just click on new event handler. And what this is going to do is, one second, from now on, we're going to have to keep it closed for a bit. So the moment I add a little event handler here, if you see behind this XML, there is a C# file connected where we have this as well, which is pretty convenient to work with. It does that for us. So, in this case, if we created that event handler, it automatically creates a button click for us. Had we not added that, it would have just shown this constructor here. And this is actually directly connected to our XAML file. So the reason for that, if you see here, we see it extends content page, which is a Xamarin Forms class, which refers to a page for a single view. And at the top, among the content page details here in XAML, you can see that this has been designated as the class, which is main page. So that's exactly how the two are connected. And we can actually now build within this. So within this, what we need this button to do is allow us to send an HTTP a GET request to our Azure function, right? So let's just do a few things. First things first, we want to keep our phone number stored. We'll just keep it as phone equal to this dot. Once again, what was the name of the entry? It was phone number. So, this is exactly how you can directly communicate and operate with the text details on your UI directly with your C# files. And what we're gonna do is now for our for a URL, we know we have a specific format we're following. So if you look at the deployment from the function app, I'll just show it to you in a second. If I go back here and I check my history once, we did have a few calls for this, right? I'm just bringing that over for us so that that way we can just quickly hop over and use it in here. So if we when we checked last time, we had this format here with us. So you saw my number anyway. It's something that is out anyway, not a worry. But we're gonna need this string here because this is the format in which our the person is gonna be called, and we're gonna be using this and when we make a GET request. So one thing I'm gonna do here is I'm going to add our phone number in this. Sorry about that. Dollar, and we can keep phone number here directly. Convenient. It's pretty convenient to work with this. If this is confusing for you, what you can just do is remove these and add a plus phone. Either works. Both of them are convenient for us. So once our URL is set up, the next task, of course, is to call our the Azure function, right? So for that, we're gonna be using something called HTTP client, and yep, absolutely. Once again, so back to this. Now in C# we have a class called HTTP client. It's not naturally available. So for this, we need a package. But again, Visual Studio, just like VS Code, lovely enough, lets us know what package we need to add. So as soon as I press on that, it adds the little necessary package here for me. So we're gonna just keep this as client. And we're gonna create a new HTTP client here for this. And what we're going to be doing is, since we're going to be creating a GET request with this, the little way to do that is We're gonna let's just name it as var result. This is an asynchronous call, so as soon as I add a wait, we're gonna need to make the function async as well. And void is not always recommended, although it doesn't create troubles, but I'm just gonna create this as a task for now. Uh, we'll see if that gives us trouble later on. It shouldn't. So we're just gonna go ahead, await client dot get async, and that basically allows us to make a get request. And here we can just add our URL. It's that simple, to be honest, right? But like once we get this response, I guess we also want to be able to see how we get just get to know if we're getting back a response, right? So for that, once we get our response, we're gonna use something called a display alert, where we can actually just straight up, we can just show how like whatever response we get. It's like the call SID that we have, right? So for that, what we're gonna do is, first of all, with the result, considering that we're getting back a message, I'm just gonna make a little class here, and we're gonna name it as public class message, and I'm gonna keep a string message. We're gonna keep a getter and setter here because we need that. You can keep this public, you can keep this private, totally on you. I'm keeping it as public. It's a class it's all right. It's not gonna create an issue right now for us. We'll just leave it as public. And from this, we actually, instead of result, I think a better way to go about it would be to keep response. Now from this, we want the message, right? The response string. So we're gonna get that as well. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna read this content as a string. So what this will do is give us a JSON back. All right. The next step is to deserialize this JSON into our um, of course, the class that we have. Now I realize that this is a function that might not be available, but Visual Studio, again, smart enough for us, gives us the package we need to install directly as well. So Newtonsoft.json, that's a big standard that is often used for serializing and deserializing objects. So we're just going to install Newtonsoft.json, and it installs and adds it for us there as well. Visual Studio is pretty good. We just deserialize that object, and we're going to do it so that it happens in the form of a message. And this is where response string goes. So what this is going to do is it's going to convert the JSON we got into an object. Next step, we want to display the message we have, right? That call SID. So we're going to do another thing, and we're going to use something called a display alert. Display alerts, again, an aspect of, of Xamarin that we have. And with this, it basically allows us to, actually pop up a little display alert, and a little alert in the middle of the display. So we're just gonna go ahead with message.message. That's what we're getting back. I hope it was that, because on at the end, yeah, it was a message that we were getting back. So the last thing we need is a little okay, I guess that's all we need. Yeah, cancellation point, right? So now I guess we are ready to go to test this out. So I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna start running this. At the same time, I'm gonna bring back my function once because we want the function running as well. in order to be able to run this successfully, because it's not deployed somewhere. So we need our function here, right? We'll look into deployments later on. We'll deploy this to Azure as well. So now that, the Azure function is deploying, and so is this. As soon as the Azure function is deployed and so is the app, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run it. It's putting a little load on my system right now because it's actually trying to deploy both of these together. That's what's happening. Damn. My system's slowing down a bit. So, still executing, function start. Okay, this should be up and, oh, okay, seems like that entire delay in deployment is what's causing a little trouble. And we have a little issue here in the button. Let me see what's happening here. Yeah, it's some. Just put this back. Quiet for now. I'm guessing it's not supposed to be in a frame. If this causes trouble, then in the meantime, I'll just remove the frame altogether. I'll fix the indentation in a little later. But I'm not sure why the error is here, because I should be getting. It should be all right. I mean, we've got button clicked in the right format. Let me check the error once. Event handler button clicked. This is a little off the top. I'm just gonna try a build. It shows no issues now. Damn, that's weird. Functions up, fortunately for now. Definitely not giving up on me. Let me now. I'm gonna, as soon as the app is running, I'm gonna take the emulator off for a second so that I can add my phone number in. Folks, please keep the queries coming in. Yes, it definitely looks pretty cool. That's all. That's just my thought as well. Whenever I have it up and running for me. So it's found the device as per the build, and should be ready to deploy. So I really hope this runs, and I, as soon as that happens, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show, like, the call on my phone once again. Yep, it's up and running. Now, when I actually run the application on my phone, it's gonna show me a little log here as well. So I'm gonna keep this up for now while the app deploys. I hope some of you are following along as well. Yep, app is up and running. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take it off for a second, just so that I can enter my number and get it running. So the moment I press on the button, as you can see, it's making a little call here. Oh, seems like I'm getting some issue with the HTTP traffic. That should not have happened. But that's more of a thing like with I'll just look into this once. Maybe I might need to deploy it and then it kind of goes ahead and runs. This should not have happened. Yeah. In any case, I'll just take a minute to debug it once, check where it went wrong. Because like I guess what's happening is because I've deployed it on my local host for now. That's why it's running. I'll see how I can just bypass this for the time being at least. Let's see it. If if we can just get this running in on HTTPS, I guess that might be why we're getting an issue. I'm just gonna run this for now. Let's see. I hope it doesn't create issues with HTTPS. It's building. It's building. Okay, app is up and running. Let's just get to this. I really hope it works this time. Because it's gonna break my heart if it doesn't. I mean, it's not a problem. What's gonna happen is that I'll just have to go ahead and I'll just create a new URI and then try it. I guess that should sort out the issue. Okay. Okay, so I'll just do one thing, I guess, in that case. Since it won't work on HTTPS. Then I'll just deploy it first. Or let me try one thing. If this works, it's gonna be amazing. But chances are this might just work. It's gonna be weird if this is what solves it. I really hope that it works without. It is gonna change. Where? And it once again. If this also doesn't work, then in that case, what I'll do is I'll deploy it first and then run it. That might just be what's creating this issue here because we are working within the limitations of Android as well. And it might just be that it's not connecting to localhost and it wants 127. But I mean, with HTTPS, if that worked out, then it should with this as well. I just hope it gets through. That's what hacking is about, just having these mess ups and getting through these. Okay, app is ready. So back to phone number. And I hope I don't get the error this time. Yep. I think what I'm gonna have to do first is just deploy it once and you know with that I'll just hope that that kind of gets sorted out quickly. It seems like I might just have to add something a little create a file, like update some details here in the um, Android manifest here. That might be a possible reason for the issue, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that as well. So I do have some documentation here which kind of helps me for this error. I'll just follow along. So for that, we're gonna hop back. We're gonna open the Android dedicated. We're gonna check this out here. Among resources, I believe that's exactly where I had to go. Among resources, we should have a folder XML. If it's not there, we can create one. And within that, we need to add an XML file. Let's check what exactly it was supposed to be called, network security config. So we're gonna create this right now so that this error is not one that we continue to face. So I guess for now we just need to add it for localhost. But in any case, I guess we can just add the entire. I mean, because we don't have a separate domain, so I guess for now let's just keep it as localhost. But we'll update this later on when once we're deploying. And I guess deployment might just be a good way to go about it after all. Then we need to make one more little update to this um, among the Android manifest. Okay. One little detail that I need to add on the application tag in the Android manifest XML. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'll do that as well. Um, Opening Android manifest XML, we've got application. Yep. If this also doesn't work, then I'm going ahead and I'm deploying it. In the meantime, why not just I can get started with that process as well. Actually, we'll just run the test once and then do that. It's building the solution for now. This entire process is always very nerve-wracking at times because you never know when that build works and when it fails. Hi Ansh. So we're basically building a solution that will let us Rickroll someone. And we've got two aspects to it. One is an Azure function, and the second is a Xamarin app where we're calling that. So the function's ready. We're able to Rickroll someone. We're just trying to create an app that lets us send over an HTTP request to actually do that. Yeah, so the emulator has been found. It should be deploying the app now. I just hope it works this time. Otherwise, I will go ahead and I'll first deploy it to Azure and then continue with this aspect of just sorting it out. It's funny because I've actually worked with HTTP requests in Xamarin, but never come across this specific error in the past. So I'm also gonna go ahead and check out another solution or so where I've tried this out, but I haven't like faced this specific issue. It's weird. Anyway, I guess yep, app is up and running. So I'm just gonna try running it now, and I hope it works out all right for me. Nope, still giving an error. It just failed to connect. Okay, let's see what details. Yep, I don't like this, but anyway, we'll just put a little breakpoint and see where we're going wrong. Let's just run it once again. Anyway, I see where we were getting a chunk of trouble, so I'm just gonna go ahead and deploy it first. If it's an issue with localhost, this should resolve that at least. So deployment is comfortable from VS Code as well. I can just create a new function app, Rickroll in it. My stack is .NET Core 3.1. We'll deploy it in Central India. That's the location where we want to deploy it. I'm also gonna have to go and actually put my environment variables there once. So we're definitely gonna have to go ahead and do that. So it's creating this for me right now. In the meantime, I'll get my Azure open and ready. I like just getting it open to set environment variables there. Hope you're all having fun building as well so far. We've also been on for quite a while, which is awesome. Just, I guess, a few more minutes to go. So this should be comfortable to manage for now. Okay, so for me, Azure is up. And the function app is being created, which is great. So let me show you here. On Azure, because I ran the deployment there, I can actually see all of these details here. If I just go back to home, I go back to my resource groups, and I can find that there is Rickroll init in there, which is awesome. And it's got a storage account, application insights, and then of course it's deploying and publishing. So as that happens, it's actually going to show, it's going to let me know here directly as well, as soon as we're good with the deployment. Because what it does is it creates the build for us, and all of that is actually something VS Code manages, so it makes things pretty convenient. Right now it was creating the resources on Azure. Now it's doing the deployment for us. So like the moment I have Azure backup and I just refresh, I can see my function app here. So I'm gonna go ahead, and in the meantime I'll add my details here to the to our environment. For that, I just need to go over to configuration and add the details in our application settings as they load. As it mentions, these are exposed as environment variables to access as well. So I can just directly add them here and they're treated as environment variables. So I'm just going to take this off to the left side while I add these. Deployment is up. So as I'll just take this here as well. We will remove this because actually it's specifically just this, because like the rest is going to be the same. It's just that this little aspect is going to be different for us. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to copy my details from my local into application settings. That'll take me a minute, so you folks can go ahead and ask me any queries you might want to in the meantime. What am I making today? I'm making a solution to Rickroll someone. If I just want to go ahead and troll one of my friends, so I'm just making a solution to Rickroll them. That's what we're doing here. You can actually check out the recording on YouTube as well. All of these recordings are saved and they'll be kept on there as well for the future in case any of you wants to check out at any point of time. Token. Yep. Um, just need to add the from number now, and we shall be good. Okay, so I'm just saving my changes here. It's just updating my settings, so they're all saved in there, and I can actually now go ahead. Yep, it's just updating those settings once. So I can actually just close VS Code for now. Now I do not need VS Code later on. It's updated the settings, which is awesome. So I can just go over to my functions. Rickroll is here as well. And I can directly get the function URL from here. So that's my domain for now. We'll just add this change here. Okay. And make the change here. I'm actually pretty surprised that this kind of made an error issue for us, because this typically doesn't act as an issue. Oh, it's also requesting an HTTP response message format. That should not necessarily create trouble for us, but if it does, I'll make that change to the Azure function and deploy that. Let's see. I hope this isn't the issue we're facing. But if that is what it is, then I'll look into that. We've got about 15 more minutes. I guess that should be comfortable enough for us to get this up and running at least once. I just hope we don't get too much trouble now. That would be that would not be ideal in any case. Yep, up and running, up and running. So I'm just gonna take this over once again, type my number in. Okay, okay, okay. We're getting a function evaluation timeout. What? Let's see. Oh, got the call finally. Yes, there is a call SID. That means I have got the call and it's up here. I'm getting it. So I just need to answer it. Yep. Yeah. We're getting the call. So finally it works. Lovely. Now the last stage left here is just we're gonna put it up on GitHub. We've finally got a functioning app. Yay to us. Let's just get through the last steps of it ASAP. So I'm gonna go over to Team Explorer and I'm gonna just okay. Yep, we're gonna add source control first. So I'm gonna push it to an existing remote. All right. And that is the remote we had created earlier for the function. That's on the Twilio function branch. We're gonna keep a different branch definitely. Yeah. So I'm just gonna set this as the remote here. And we're gonna do a create and push. I hope it doesn't create too many conflicts for us. If it does, we'll just revert back. But this would get frustrating if that were the case. At least it's up and running. So for now, we can just take this down. Yep, it's pushed to the main branch. So let's get back to GitHub. And if I just reload it once. Okay, so my default has been set as Twilio function. I'm gonna change that. For that, what we'll look into that later. That's not as much of that's not as much of a worry. I'm gonna fetch. Yeah. Okay, my throat's going now. We are just at the last step now, and that is submitting on dev post. So yay to us. That's awesome. Right. So I'm just gonna pull the stuff because, like, if we see, it'll show that we've got a separate branch we can look into as well. Although that's not a concern right now. So we're just gonna go back. Let's open dev post now. We're finally at a good point where you know we were at submission. So the next step is to submit to day 3. It's day 3 right now. That's so great to see, right? So I'm just gonna copy my GitHub because we're gonna need it later. We're gonna join hackathon. I'm working solo. Major League Hacking told me via the website. No, I had my account from beforehand. Wow, saved input makes life convenient. We're gonna register and create a project. So in create a project, I just need to add a name. So I'm gonna add Rickroll. What was the name it kept? Sorry. Um, Rickroll your buds. So we're gonna keep Rickroll your buds. Right. And here, what I'm gonna add is actually I'll tell you I have a habit, so I'm gonna stick to my habits, and we're just gonna keep Rickroll your friends with this mobile app. We're gonna save and continue. In the descriptions, we don't need to add too much details, but I'm gonna add my GitHub repo here. Definitely, that is something we need for our submissions. In this, we can go ahead, remove the inspiration and remove all of these as well, right? And we'll just mention Rickroll your buds with this mobile app. And how we built it, we built it, we built this project using Xamarin Forms, Azure Functions with .NET and Twilio programmable voice. Okay, so that's all the details you need right now. You can add these here as well. That's totally on you. Not mandatory right now, but if you want to, feel free. Um, I just have that habit, so I go ahead and do that. Right. And next up, just go ahead, save and continue. Video demo is not something you need to worry about for this. Among the challenges, make sure you select. Oops, I don't see the challenge here. I might have submitted to the wrong day. In any case, but surprising. But anyway, because I mean, technically, we've got an R2 deadline, so that kind of surprises me. But well, technically, we also utilized, Twilio here, and we're using an Azure function that we're calling. So we're calling a function, and then so I guess we can put this in connect in Either this or create a useless invention hack. I kind of want to, I don't want to say useless to this, so I'm just going to keep it as connect to AP. And we can go with either of these. It's totally on you. Let's just say connect to APIs for now, save and continue. And we're going to submit our project. So yeah, we're submitted. Finally. In that case, that kind of surprises me because we might want to look at the submission for this. So, we can hop over to the init schedule, which shows all the different really cool, amazing sessions we have, right? And, of course, the schedule has it. We've got challenges as well. So we can actually check the daily challenges here. You should actually, Rickroll someone and, post it, of course, in the day 3 form. That's where we have to submit. Yeah. So that's what's happening. Although this was a really cool, fun hack. But yeah, anyway, we'll just fill up the details here. Why not? I did not realize that. Sorry about that. Um, we're gonna keep the same link here. Of course, with this solution, it kind of worked out well because it was also connecting an API. But in case it doesn't, make sure you go over to the form and not dev post for this. That is not something I realized earlier. Very sorry about that. And I've got the link here, so we're just gonna go ahead and submit it. Right? And yeah, you're good to go. So that was it from me for today. And I personally had a ton of fun building this. I hope you all enjoyed as well. And yeah, please keep working, building throughout in it. We have some absolutely amazing content that will be coming up. All right. So, any last questions we have? Even if there isn't, no worries. That's totally all right. Anyway, thank you so much to all of you for hanging on. I had a ton of fun building this. I hope you had a ton of fun seeing this. We all got rickrolled a few times. So, yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, keep hacking, folks. See you all soon. Bye bye.